It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. And now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, it's showtime. What's happening, everybody? Give yourselves a hand. All right. I love the cheering crowd in the open. Shout out to my man Sean Doby, Mr. Announcer guy that just got through introducing me. Hey, we made it to the weekend Friday. The first Friday in February. It's the Geno Jones Show. Good news. Punxsutawney Phil, the little fat-ass groundhog, didn't see his shadow. That means an early spring. Early spring. I'll take it. Sign me up for that right now. So I come to you live Monday through Friday, my normal days and start times. So Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. If you're in Chicago, 5:30. Don't cover your face up, G. 5:30. If you're in Los Angeles, 3:30. If you're out in Hawaii, 1:30 p.m. Please, that wasn't the middle finger. Please subscribe, share this episode, share every episode with everybody. Tell them to subscribe to the Geno Jones Show channel. Share, screen grab, that means grab some of the video. You can grab 30 seconds or 60 seconds or 2 minutes or 5 minutes and put it up on TikTok, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Threads, on Snapchat. Create a YouTube short, put it up on Facebook. You can copy and paste the link. Copy and paste. You can text it to somebody. You can tag their page. Do it all. You can send it by carrier pigeon. I don't give a damn. Just tell everybody. Or as Nelly would say, tell everybody. This is must-see TV. You got to see it and hear it to believe it. Once again, I come to you live Monday through Friday. So we had a big weekend. So I'm expecting actually two guests. My regular co-host, Keela Carson, and we are hoping to have a very funny brother. Been in the comedy game for a minute. I've known him for a while. He was working out in Los Angeles for nearly 20 years, and he came back home here, and he's still doing some big things. Brother named Uncle Ricky. Uncle Ricky. Hopefully will be joining us, but soon. Hopefully Miss Keela Carson. So my week in review shows. So let me start off before I do anything. Just after I signed off on Thursday night, I got some sad news. So I want to take the time at the beginning of my TV show right now, this show, to pay tribute and respects to a radio legend. He was in the Radio Hall of Fame, the National Black Radio Hall of Fame. He's just a Hall of Fame broadcaster. He's been doing it for many years. He was on Sirius XM's Urban View, Channel 126. It used to be called The Power. And then they eventually changed the name to Urban View. And for about 2 decades, Joe Madison would wake everybody up Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. until 10. The Joe Madison Show, the Black Eagle. What are you going to do about it? And apparently he had a dad like my grandfather. Had some of these great sayings and phrases, or some people call colloquial wisdoms. There you go, colloquial wisdoms. And one of them was, Jeannie, put it where the goats can get it. Joe was famous for saying that. He said his dad, he got it from his dad. I got it from my grandfather. Put it where the goats can get it. I mean, explain it in a way to where, explain it to the root, or as some folks say, to the root, where people can understand. Don't talk above people. Talk to them and reach them on their level. Put it where the ghosts can get it. I mean, you put it down there. If the ghosts can get it at the root, everybody else will be able to get it. And so much more. Brilliant man. His wife, Sherry, who was his executive producer, co-executive producer, and his team. Many mornings, driving to work, I would listen to Brother Joe Madison. Brilliant brother. And if you came on with some nonsense, with some lies, or some of the MAGA racism, you would get cussed out. He had something called the cuss jar, where every time if he used the cuss word, he would put $1 in a swear jar. And once the swear jar would fill up, he would find some charity and donate that money to. So we lost Brother Joe Madison. He had a reoccurring battle with prostate cancer. And around Thanksgiving, I guess he took a turn for the worse. His daughter came on Sirius XM and explained to people that he was, his prostate cancer had returned, and just asked everybody to pray for him, and just wanted to give Joe time to heal and to get better. Unfortunately, he didn't get better, and we lost him on Thursday. So rest in peace, power, and paradise to the Black Eagle, Joe Madison. The genuine article. He was one of a kind. You know, often imitated, never duplicated. When you heard Joe Madison, the Black Eagle, you knew it was Joe Madison, the Black Eagle. So I just wanted to make sure that I paid my respects, because he was the foundation and the anchor who built a really an amazing platform on Sirius XM. Larry Daniels' favor, Clay Kane, who's got a new book. I've been shouting Clay out all week. The Grift just talks about basically, the Republican, the MAGA cult party, this promoting the racism. And yeah, part of it is because this is their ideology and what they believe, but at the root of it, it's called a grift. And grift is just another word for like a con, a hustle. People trying to hustle you, trying to just trick you, get you out of your money. And lying, or back in the day, we stay fronting, portraying an image. But in this case, these MAGA cult members, well, many of them believe it. But those in power are using, like they've always done, use hate, fear, bigotry, racism, and hatred in all of its forms, racism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, homophobia, misogyny, sexism, all of it, because it's big business. And fear sells. It sells weapons to other countries. It sells bombs and missiles and rockets and guns and ammunition and bullets. It sells guns. It sells AR-15s here in America to people, to these white nationalists that's ready for a civil war because they're afraid of black folks. Oh yeah, hatred and fear has always been big business. So the grift, just people use political power and the dividing people among racial lines, gender lines, sexual orientation. People, there are a handful of people that's making a lot of money to keep you thinking that I'm the problem, that you haven't gotten a raise in 40 years, that your job can't form a union, or why you've been living in a trailer park, or just a poor working class white neighborhood like Archie Bunker, and your kids can't go to like the best private schools. Oh, they never intended for your kids to go to private schools, because they didn't give a shit about you or me. It just made you think they cared about you, and made you think that some black person or some brown person or some Muslim or some Hindu or Sikh or a gay man or a lesbian woman or a bisexual man or woman or a trans person, that you had to fear them, that they somehow was going to keep you from reaching to living, fulfilling your pursuit of happiness. Oh, come on, man. It's a con. On the south side of Chicago, my grandfather called it a hustle or grift. And that's what Clay King's book is all about. So shout out to my man Clay. But speaking of Clay, and then Karen Hunter, who's amazing, my fellow Taurian sister, who's on in the afternoon. She is just a national treasure. She's just, Karen Hunter is talking about the genuine article, also one of a kind. So I give them props, because I've been doing radio for over 3 decades now. I've been very successful because of my listeners. in every city I've worked in. I've had #1 radio show here in Charleston, literally for 22 decades. In about 6 weeks, it'll be 19 years doing radio here in Charleston, South Carolina, and having a #1 radio show for 19 years because of the people of this community that I absolutely love and respect and adore, and I treasure them, and I honor and respect and protect fiercely the trust that you all have instilled in me and the support that you have given me. I do not take it for granted, not at all, because you have a lot of choices. Satellite radio is one of them, but this community has continued to support me, and I'm very grateful. To coin a phrase from my man, the late Heavy D, got nothing but love for you, baby. I got nothing but love for you, mama. Nothing but love, and I appreciate it. So, once again, rest in peace, power, and paradise, Brother Joe Madison. So, he would always say, I'm not going to give you my torch. I'm going to light your torch, and I'm going to hold on to my torch. Well, you've lit a lot of torches, Brother Joe, and I'm going to continue to carry mine, and I'm going to continue to light every torch that I can. That's what I'm going to do about it. That was the line he would always tell people who would call in and talk about, politicians or different policies, and he would always ask the caller, so what are you going to do about it? Because we all can do something. And it reminded me of a line in one of my favorite movies, The Untouchables. It's a great scene. The late Sean Connery, and you had Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner was playing Elliot Ness, who basically eventually was the man that put Al Capone, legendary gangster, was behind probably thousands of murder and the sale of bootlegging liquor and prostitution, gambling, and just everything. He was like one of the biggest mobsters in the history of the planet. And in the late 20s, early 30s, he was at the peak of his powers, based in Chicago. And the federal government, they were trying to get Al Capone for decades. They knew that he had put the order out to have his rivals and other people murdered. But Al Capone never got arrested for murder. He never got arrested for prostitution. He never got arrested for running gambling, for trafficking anything, for bootlegging liquor. The federal government put Al Capone's ass behind bars, and he died with syphilis. That says something else about the man. They got him for tax evasion, and it was Elliot Ness that was the one that got Al Capone behind bars. So in this legendary scene in the movie The Untouchables, which was basically a story about the dynamic between Al Capone and Elliot Ness and the federal government. Sean Connery was a Chicago cop. Back in the day, you had a lot of crooked cops. Some might say we still got a significant number of crooked cops, not just in Chicago, but everywhere. So that's a different conversation. But Chicago was and is notorious for, back in the day, you had a segment of the police department, they were crooked. They were on the take. And Al Capone had judges. He had high-ranking people on the payroll. But Sean Connery's character, he was a local Chicago police officer, was not. He was like an honest broker. He was like, nope. And so Kevin Costner's character, Elliot Ness, came to Sean Connery's character's home, and he was like, what? We almost had Al Capone. He's frustrated. And then Sean Connery's character looked at Kevin Costner's character and said, what are you prepared to do about it? Look at him. He said it again with more intensity. What are you prepared to do about it, Elliot Ness? So I don't know if Joe Madison coined that phrase. I don't know if he was a fan of that show, that movie, The Untouchables, like I was. But when he would say, what are you going to do about it? I got a feeling that he probably saw that movie and that line resonated with him like it's resonated with me, because I'd say, what are you prepared to do about it? He said, what I'm prepared to do about it is continue to do what I do. So rest in peace to Brother Joe Madison. Shout out to everybody watching me live. Uncle Ricky. Yes, as a matter of fact, shout out to Lisa Davis. Hey, I know my man Uncle Ricky is supposed to join us. He's having a little technical difficulty. Shout out to Lisa Davis. Lisa, thank you for watching. My man, he's going to use Uncle Ricky, I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show, comedian. He's here now, based here now, but he was out in LA for about 20 years, just doing things, doing stand-up and writing for people, the whole nine. So he and I are going to be collaborating for 2024 and really bringing you more of the funny, like I do with my people, Keela Carson, who I think her camera went down on her. So the enemy's really busy today, but I'm holding it down. So thank you for watching, Lisa Davis. Hang in. I'm waiting for like a little blue light to light up on my screen. So if Uncle Ricky can join me, you'll know, because you'll see him on camera. If not, you'll definitely see him next week, coming soon. So I want to pay tribute to Joe Madison. Congratulations to Uncle Charlie Wilson. It was a big weekend. Monday was a big day. So Monday, Charlie Wilson turned 71, and on his birthday, the same day, Charlie Wilson, Uncle Charlie, finally, because y'all should have gave him this a long time ago, he got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So you had my man Jimmy Jam was like the MC that introduced him. Snoop Dogg was there. Babyface was there. A lot of other celebrities. I think Tyrese was there. Kanye was there tripping with a ski mask on. Just pray for the brother. That's all you can do is pray for him. Really can't talk to him because he ain't going to listen to nobody because he got money. And one of the worst things, one of the most lethal combinations is a fool and his money, or somebody that is delusional with money. Because you can't tell them nothing. They figure, I got money, I know more than you. No, not exactly. Not exactly. And I've had that conversation before. But anyway, big shout out to Charlie Wilson. And since I'm talking about the Hollywood Walk of Fame, shout out to my man George Clinton, the godfather of P-Funk, the man who invented P-Funk, Parliament, Funkadelic, Parlet, the Brides of Funkenstein. About 3 weeks ago, he got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Long, long overdue. So congratulations to Charlie Wilson. Congratulations to George Clinton. George Clinton, P-Funk, the era, the P-Funk era, the mid-late 70s. I'd say especially that mid-late 70s, primarily. The greatest era in the history of music. Now, my opinion, that's a fact. Now, how can I say that? Well, Geno, how can you say that? Name me any other era in any musical genre, not just R&B, because funk was just part of R&B. Hip-hop, all of it is, soul music is all the same roots. Name me any other musical genre to where it was as dominant as it was, that 70s funk sound with George Clinton that led the way with, like I said, Parliament, Funkadelic, Bootsy's Rubber Band. A lot of James Brown's musicians was playing with George Clinton. Brides of Funkenstein, Parlet. Then you had other funk bands, the Bar-Kays, the Gap Band, funk band, started late 70s, and then they parlayed it into the 80s. And you had so many bands in the 80s that all came out of that. Midnight Star, Atlantic Star, Cameo. It's so many. But the 70s, the mid and late 70s, a sound was so unique and so dominant that 20 years later, a whole new generation of musicians and producers and rappers basically took the same beats from the 70s and generated a whole new culture, hip hop with the samples, and everybody sampled George Clinton. You name it. I mean, with Biggie, Diddy, all the, listen, you would not have G-Funk, Dr. Dre, Snoop, the whole Death Row vibe, the Chronic. You would not have had the Chronic without Mothership Connection and One Nation Under Groove, that whole vibe, that whole P-Funk vibe. They called it G-Funk. Dr. Dre, Warren G, rest in peace to my man Nate Dogg. Come on, the Dog Pound, all Corrupt, Daz Dillinger. The Chronic was basically Knee Deep, One Nation Under Groove, and Mothership Connection, remixed with just different lyrics, but the same vibe, the same sound. No other generation, no other musical genre can say that it dominated not one era, but two separate eras. And George Clinton was the inventor of the P-Funk, the bomb. So shout out to George Clinton. That award, that recognition, that star, it should have gave you that star in the 70s, because that's how huge. Artists selling out football stadiums, 80,000 people, the late 70s. The whole Mothership Connection, which was Parliament, Funkadelic, group Parlette, Brides of Funkenstein, Bootsy's Rubber Band, literally had like a mothership that would land on stage. They came to Chicago, sold out. Soldier Field with the Chicago Bears, they had like almost 80,000 people. And a giant cloud of marijuana smoke. You would have got a contact just standing. People were standing outside of Soldier Field that couldn't get in just to hear the music. So in their peak, the peak of Parliament, Funkadelic's powers, and then they came with Atomic Dog in the early 80s. They were selling out football stadiums all across America, all around the world. George Clinton and P-Funk, very underrated, never get the credit that they should get, but they're getting it today on this show. And thank goodness that the Hollywood Walk of Fame committee recognized George Clinton, especially while he's here, because George has got to be, if George is not 80, he is pushing 80 awful hard. He is pushing that door to get into 80 awful hard. So congratulations to both. Once again, Charlie Wilson and George Clinton, Hollywood Walk of Fame. All right. So shout out to everybody else watching too. Hello to my number one fan. Hello, mother. How are you? Lisa Davis. She said, thank you. Thank you for watching. Lisa, do me a favor. Hey, listen, I hope you enjoy the show. But man, listen. So Friday I go easy, but I do stand up also, and my humor is rooted in social political commentary. So my monologues are fire. So do me a favor, go back and binge watch the episodes, and tag all your friends, all your family. If you're in a sorority, all your sorority sisters. If you are Eastern Star, your church folk, just your crew, whatever. Text them. You copy and paste the link. Text it to everybody. But just tell them to come to my channel, subscribe to the channel, and watch me live Monday through Friday, 6:30. If you miss me live, you can always, the Geno Jones Show is available 24/7. And this year is a leap year. It's available 366 and a half days. Because this year we have 366 and a half days. Because we have 29 days in February this month, this year, a leap year. So Lisa, my sister, Miss Lisa Davis, if you don't mind, do that for me. And everybody else is watching me live, all right? Before I get out of here, so Nikki Haley, who used to be the governor of the state I'm in right now, of South Carolina, here in the Charleston, South Carolina metro, that's where I'm at. So she went on this like radio tour. She was on the show The Breakfast Club, nationally syndicated. Went on with a brother named Charlemagne, who was actually from this area, and said that Barack Obama, President Barack Obama, was the reason for racism, sexism, and misogyny. Now, she was an ambassador, a UN. She worked in, as we refer to him for my new viewers, we don't refer to Donald Trump. We don't even call him 45. His name is Orange Jumpsuit Hitler, or Orange Jumpsuit Jackass Hitler. The MAGA cult calls him their orange Jesus, their white Jesus, their Lord and Savior, Donald Trump. That's what this cult, because there's no longer a Republican Party. It is a cult. And Miss Nikki Nimrata Haley, who's an immigrant, her parents are from India. As a matter of fact, her dad, a brown man from India, who wore a turban, who was discriminated against because of his skin color, who was a very educated, brilliant man, but none of the predominantly white colleges and universities will give him a job, especially here in South Carolina. So he wound up teaching at a historically black college and university, Voorhees College, in a little town called Denmark, South Carolina. So Miss Nikki Nimrata Haley, she knows racism up close and personal. Even though she said, America's never been racist, but then in the same sentence, like 2 seconds later said, because America's never been racist because I know racism when I see it, because I, paraphrasing, because I saw racism. Yeah, you did. How they treated your dad. Exactly. And the fact that it was black students and the parents of black students that provided a living, provided money so your dad could take care of you and your family. And for you to somehow deny, and I get why, to deny and lie, and as the kids say, gaslight, which means lie to my face and tell me something is not happening that is happening, or tell me something is happening that's not happening. That's basically what gaslighting means. America's never been racist. We're not racist. America's not racist. It's never been racist. And I know because I know racism when I see it. Well, how can you know it when you see it if it never existed? Make that make sense, Nikki Haley. So Barack Obama is the reason that America, President Obama came in and he divided us. He divided us among race and gender. Really? So not the orange dude who started his political campaign with a racist lie about President Barack Obama. Oh, he wasn't born here. He was born in Kenya. No, actually, he was born in Hawaii. And you, monkey ass, you knew it. And you promoted that lie and it elevated you because all the other races, you emboldened all the racists and white nationalists. It was like, yes, woke culture, and folks are woke. So when you hear a MAGA cult member, or when you hear a racist say, or anti-wokeness, Ron DeSantis, anti-woke means that they are pro-racist, pro-sexist, pro-misogynist, pro-hatred, pro-racist. And because we call out racism and misogyny and sexism and homophobia and anti-Semitism and allow Islamophobia. So we call out racism, anti-Semitism, sexism, Islamophobia, anti-immigrant hate. So we call that out. Oh, we are racist because we are pointing out and calling out the racism. So it was President Barack Obama who really didn't even do that. He tried to stay away from the subject of race. It was like trying to avoid the third rail. If you live in a city like Chicago, we've got what we call the elevated electric train, and then it goes underground, the subway. And it's electrically powered, and there's what we call the third rail. The third rail carries the electric current that powers the train. So it's saying this race is the third rail of politics. That meant don't touch it, because if you touch it, you'll burn up. It will destroy you politically. So President Obama divided us. Not the dude that started the racist launch his campaign, not the dude that said African countries were shithole countries and Caribbean countries that had primarily a lot of black folks. They were shithole countries. Not the dude that said a bunch of white nationalists, little punk ass incels, which is short for involuntary celibate, because don't nobody want to sleep with their ass, who was walking around with some khakis, little khaki pants, and tiki torches, talking about Jews will not replace us, and then killed a Jewish woman who was an anti-racist protester along with a black dude that damn near killed. They ran over Heather Heyer, killed her, damn near killed a black dude. Those racists who were attacking black folks and Jewish people and anybody that wasn't racist, and you orange jumpsuit jackass Hitler, Miss Nikki Haley, he's the one that said, oh, they are fine people too. The racists that murdered a Jewish woman and almost murdered a black man, two people who were protesting the racism, the hate, and the anti-Semitism that those white nationalists brought to the University of Virginia. And the dude so he didn't divide us. And the dude who invoked a Muslim ban on his first day, virtually as president, a total and complete Muslim ban. Somehow that didn't divide us. But Barack Obama did? Really? The man who bragged about, I put 3 justices on the Supreme Court. I am personally responsible for ending Roe versus Wade, the Supreme Court decision that said women had a right to decide to end a pregnancy. If they wanted an abortion, they had a right to do it. And you had the Supreme Court, you put people on the Supreme Court that basically punked out and bitched out and said, well, we need to get rid of that Roe versus Wade decision and allow states to decide. Like South Carolina, that has a 6-week abortion ban. In many of these states, even if a 10-year-old is raped, or she's a victim of rape by incest, or if you are a woman, a young woman in her 20s, that had a miscarriage so bad, she miscarried into a toilet, and they wanted to arrest her and charge her with a crime? And the man who created that climate by putting judges that ended the Supreme Court decision, Roe versus Wade, that allowed safe and legal abortions in America, he didn't divide us among race and gender. But it was the black dude that did it. Come on, Nikki. Stop lying. Now, I know the MAGA cult, they don't want to hear the truth, so you got to lie, hoping that somehow the MAGA cult's going to embrace you, Miss Nikki Haley. Or, I don't know, maybe it's Haley. Well, I don't know. I don't know what your married name is, but we'll go by the name you used when you were governor, Nikki Haley. Let me explain something to you that I know you understand. This MAGA cult that is extremely racist and violent and anti-Semitic and anti-Muslim and anti-brown people and Islamophobic and homophobic and transphobic are equally sexist and misogynist. The same races that hate black people and Jews and Asians and brown looking Hispanics, or even not so brown looking Hispanics, brown people, Native Americans that hate gays and lesbians and transgender people. They hate women too, unless you are in your place, unless you are barefoot and pregnant. We don't need you to take over companies. You need to be having more babies. That's why we need to have a national ban on abortion, because you're not having enough white babies. We need more babies to put in these into low-paying jobs, because these corporations and CEOs and their shareholders. We need to have a large pool of low-educated, low-information voters and poorly educated, so they will be happy just to take any job, and we can pay them whatever we want to pay them or nothing at all. And if we're really lucky, and if we follow the plan that we got in Project 2025, Nikki Haley, because yes, your party, former party, they have already written the document. You can download it in a PDF. Anybody watching me right now, just Google or Yahoo search or use whatever search engine you want. Google research Project 2025, which will allow militarizing local police. What does that mean? That means like Donald Trump wanted to send the U.S. military into D.C. when you had Black Lives Matter protests in 2020 when George Floyd was murdered. Orange jumpsuit jackass Hitler told his Secretary of Defense that he wanted to use the U.S. military to go out and shoot to kill peaceful protesters who were black and brown, and there was a lot of white kids out there. So that's what militarizing the local police means. And they only want to send them to big cities where there are a lot of black people: Chicago and Atlanta and New York, Milwaukee, Detroit, St. Louis, Houston, and Charlotte, Cleveland, and Philadelphia. Oh, they're not going to send them to Wyoming or Utah, Montana, or Nebraska. No. Project 2025 basically is going to redo and rewrite and codify in law a new version of Jim Crow. You could call it Jim Crow 2.0 or just call it Project 2025. I'm not making this up. Just Google Project 2025 and read it for yourself. So this MAGA cult, they're not dividing America. But it was the black dude, just because he won and he wanted to make sure that virtually everybody that could had health insurance, even some of these poor, working class, some of these MAGA cult members that hated him and hate black people, who only have insurance because of the black dude that was president that wore the tan suit, and y'all lost y'all damn mind. Like he was standing there butt-ass naked. The man wore a tan suit to a news conference, and people's head exploded. It was the end of the world, the greatest. Oh my God, how can he disrespect the office? He's got a tan suit. How stupid and dumb. But fear and hatred makes you very ignorant. It makes you dumb, but it makes you dangerous. So, Haley, I hate to be the one to tell you. I know you saw the polls. I'm sure your internal polling is telling you the same thing. You are trailing orange jumpsuit jackass Hitler in the state that you were raised in, the state where your dad worked for over 20 years as a professor at a historically black college and university because racism kept him from getting hired at the University of South Carolina or Clemson, one of the other white universities, maybe the College of Charleston here back in the day. This was 30, 40 years ago. late 60s, early 70s. But you were trailing Mr. Orange Jumpsuit Jackass Hitler in your state that you were the governor of. You are trailing him by 20 plus points. As a matter of fact, nearly 30 points. And in some polls, you are trailing him 3 weeks out by 30 points in your own state, your own home state, that you were the governor. And it's only going to get worse from here. Because once again, this same cult that is racist and bigoted in all of its forms and homophobic is just as sexist and misogynistic as it is racist. They don't like women. They didn't even like a white woman, even though she was a Democrat. They still was like, I'll never, the sexist and misogynist dudes, I'll never vote for a white woman, should never be a boss over. I've heard white men say that out loud in the corporate world. And they were so comfortable, they said it out loud where I could hear it and other people could hear it. And in some more private settings, I heard the same thing. This was about a white woman. You were still a brown woman. To them, don't get it twisted. You weren't a threat when you were the governor here in South Carolina. No, Nikki, no. Even if you were a white woman, no. And this cult leader that you all got, before him and his cult would vote for you, they would burn this thing down. Oh, yeah, they did try to burn it down. They tried to tear it down. They tried to destroy it. 2020, January 6, 2021, to be correct. Let me be correct. January 6, 2021. We already saw the insurrection. And some of them want more. All right, listen, let me wrap it up. Shout out to, so listen, next week you will see Keela Carson. And next week, Lisa Davis, if you're there watching still, I hope you enjoyed the show. You'll see Uncle Ricky. Thank you, but you see me now. And thank you for seeing me now. Thank you for watching, everybody. I want to thank everybody for watching. God bless each and every one of you, and especially you, God, most of all. Thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. I do it live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern if you're in Chicago, 5:30, bam, 5:30, 3:30 out in Los Angeles, or up in Portland, Oregon, where my firstborn is, Lauren Hill Vaughn. And the baby girl, Allie Jones, in Chicago. Subscribe, share, screen grab, like, and binge watch all my back episodes. I'm going to slow it down, say that again. Tell everybody to subscribe to the Geno Jones Show channel. Share this and every episode. Screen grab. I got some good stuff. Some good stuff. This monologue. Screen grab some of it. Hell, screen grab all of it. And make it go viral. Put it up on Threads, on TikTok, on Twitter, or now I guess it's called X. Elon Musk, I don't really mess with him. On Instagram, on Snapchat, on Facebook. Create a YouTube short right here. You can do all that. Like and binge watch all my back episodes. Since, hey, look, there's no football game this weekend. So y'all you ain't gonna see Tyler Swift till next Sunday. So make it a Geno Jones Show binge watch weekend. 3 years plus worth of shows. You can start by watching whatever you missed from tonight's episode. Then just binge watch this week, which has been fire. And you can binge watch all my back episodes anytime you want to. Anytime that works for you. On your tablet, on your phone, smartphone, your tablet, your PC, wherever. Your iPad, doesn't matter. At home, in the barbershop, the hair salon. Y'all watch me in the barbershops, in the hair salons, or barbering palace. Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show. Designer Cuts Barbering Palace, places like that. Maybe you're traveling at your gate at the airport, waiting on your flight. Maybe on your flight, visiting somebody. You don't like what they got on TV. Grab your phone, grab your tablet. Just go to the Geno Jones YouTube channel. You'll see the Geno Jones Show right there. All right, everybody. Shout out to Allie Jones, the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. She's a stylist and she's a fashion designer and the official wardrobe consultant and fashion designer for my show. Check her and her collection, the LX.NCL. That's LX.NCL, like Lexi, underscores that little dash at the end of the LX.NCL on Instagram. Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist on Instagram. Check him and his workout. His work is magic. He's not a barber. He's not even a master barber. He's an artiste. Because his work, his haircuts, it is artistry. Check him out on Instagram. Kel be cutting up. Because Kel really be cutting up. I mean, cutting his ass off. Cutting clippers, scissors. Do it. He can do it all. Does it all. KELBECUTTINUP on Instagram. Have a great weekend, everybody. So make sure you binge watch any and all my episodes this week. The next live edition, unless something unique happens tomorrow. Oh, by the way, Saturday here in South Carolina, the Democratic primary polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Make sure you vote. And to my young brothers and sisters, especially my young brothers, you're not voting for a person, man. I'm telling y'all, don't get it twisted. I saw Rick Ross was calling out some of his boys that was on some Trump-ish. Listen, don't be conned by con artists. Don't be hustled by a hustler. Don't let the grifter grift your ass. Game recognized game. That's the title of my book and an audiobook about relationships between men and women. But it's the truth, and it applies in a lot of areas. Game recognize game. Game respect game. And game know when game sees bullshit and a con artist and a hustle. Don't let this dude hustle you. You make sure you binge watch and listen to, just listen to all my monologues. All right, because you are voting. It's a choice. Your vote or your non-vote, or your vote for Cornel West or Kanye West or Marianne Williamson or Dean Phillips or Orange Jumpsuit Jackass Hitler, that vote or your non-vote is a vote for your oppression. So you are choosing between literally your freedom and your oppression, brother. And if you don't believe it, you can read what these people got, what this cult, what this MAGA cult has planned for you, because they are so bold with it. They put it in writing, and you can download it. It's in a booklet, and you can download it on your phone. They so bold with it. They're like, shit, we printing it. We gonna put it out in a PDF, and you can download it. We are telling you what we have plans to do with you and to you. And their attitude is that you can't do nothing about it because they think that you are stupid and they could con and tell you anything. And have a dude take a Sharpie and sign the first stimulus check when he didn't even want to give y'all the money. It was the Democrats in Congress that got you the first stimulus check. And it was President Joe Biden that got you the second stimulus check. And he didn't have to use a Sharpie and use up the whole damn check to sign his name on it. Like your boy. Don't be con, brothers and sisters. Come on, brothers. We know a con. We know somebody trying to hustle us. So don't let this hustler, don't let this con artist fool you. Because it's the people that's around him that's got the plans, that's actually smarter than him. They got the same hatred and racism and sexism and misogyny. They have the same ideology, but they're more dangerous because they understand how the machine, the machinations, the machinery of politics, and they understand how law and laws and legislation can be used to oppress you, like it was when they created the Jim Crow laws and make it legal to oppress you, to be able to get away with everything up to and including murder, and to enslave you again or your children. And nothing you can do about it, because when you don't vote, you give power to people to be in positions of power politically, to then write and pass laws to oppress you and your family. If you don't think that the Jim Crow laws that they came up with in the late 1800s and the 1900s, if you don't think they can't remix that again, you are sadly mistaken. They've already remixed them and printed it out and put it in a booklet. That's why I said, go look at Project 2025 on your phone or your tablet. Google that and print that out. Download that PDF. So when they send the Marines and the Army Rangers to the streets of Chicago and Detroit and St. Louis and Atlanta and New York and Philly and Cleveland and Milwaukee and Houston to shoot and kill protesters like your boys are, he's said it publicly, that's what he wants to do. He said, oh, we want to shoot and kill shoplifters, but he told one of his defense secretaries that he wanted to send the military out, the U.S. military, to shoot peaceful protesters because he didn't like him protesting his ass. And his Secretary of Defense, a guy named Mark Esper, you can Google his name and Google that. He'll tell you that orange jumpsuit jackass Hitler Trump told him, said, I want you to send the military out and shoot those protesters in D.C. It's out there those Black Lives Matter protesters protesting about George Floyd. And Mark Esper told him, no, we can't do that. The United States never sends out its military to police peaceful protests. They didn't even send the U.S. military out when you had an insurrection that stormed the U.S. Capitol and tried to assassinate the vice president and people in Congress, that even came with a damn gallows, a hangman's gallows that was already constructed with a noose chanting, hang Mike Pence. And he was an old white dude. So what do you think that same crew with that same ideology would do to some young brothers and sisters like you? And having a fresh fade, a fresh cut, or line up, and having your own little business, they don't want you to have that business to begin with. That ain't gonna protect you. Man, put you up on game. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you live Monday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. I'll holler.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.